Greetings. Greetings to everyone. Now, She Walks in Beauty by Lord Byron. Let's see the beautiful poem of Lord Byron. What are the things we are going to see in this video? Life of the poet, period. The poet belonged to romantic period, and character analysis, description of the poem, themes, symbols, personification, metaphors, similes, language use, and conclusion. Right? Poet. Let's see biography of Lord Byron. The original name of Byron is George Noel Gordon Lord Byron. He was born in London on January 22, 1788. The only son of Captain John Byron and his second wife. On the insistence of the Gordon family, John Byron legally changed his name to John Gordon. As a result, Lord Byron was born a Gordon and not a Byron. On the death of his grand uncle, William Lord Byron, the poet inherited the family title and estate. Byron attended a number of schools, including the famous public school, Harrow, where he made many friends. From Harrow, he went to Trinity College, Cambridge. He received an MA degree from Cambridge in 1808. Byron's first volume of poems, Fugitive Pieces, was privately printed in 1806. A selection of poems from Fugitive Pieces and other juvenilia were published as poems on various occasions. Poems were republished as Hours of Idleness the following year, with Byron's name on the title page. Hours of Idleness was unfavorably reviewed by the influential Edinburgh Review in 1807. Byron never forgot the reception given to his first acknowledged volume of poetry, and in 1809 anonymously took revenge on the anonymous Edinburgh reviewer and English bards and Scotch reviewers, in which he showed himself to be an able satirist in the manner of Pope, of whom he was always a strong admirer. So, one thing we have to understand here, Byron was a strong admirer of a neoclassicist Pope, Alexander the Pope. In July 1809, Byron set out his grand tour, which included Portugal, Spain, Albania, Greece, and Turkey. His impressions of these countries form the substance of Childe Harold's Pilgrimage, Cantos 1 and 2, published in 1812. Early in 1815, Byron married Anne Isabella. A year later, his wife left him, taking with her their daughter Augusta Ada Byron. A separation was later arranged. The society, which had made Byron famous, blamed him for the separation and ostracized him. In 1816, Byron left England, never to return. Now, Canto 3 of Childe Harold and The Prisoner of Chillon appeared in the fall of 1860. Byron published Childe Harold Canto 4 inferior, an interest to Childe Harold Canto 3 because it was overloaded with archaeological materials suggested by a trip Byron made from Venice to Rome. Right? When you see the Byron's life, you can see a number of trips. Right? In 1822, one of Byron's most perfect poems and one of the best satires in English poetry, The Vision of Judgment, was published in John Hunt's periodical, The Liberal. The vision of judgment in Ottawa Rimmer is an amusing attack on George III, George IV, and on the poet laureate Robert Southey. Byron returned to Don Juan in 1822 and by May 1823 had written a total of 16 cantos. The poem was published in six separate volumes between 1819 and 1823. Byron had lived in various parts of Italy from his arrival in that country in 1860. In July 1823, he left Italy for Greece to help the Greeks in their struggle to free themselves from Turkish rule. He died of a fever at Missolonghi, Greece on April 19, 1823. So, from this, we come to know his life journey, right? The Romantic period, actually, it's a movement in art, literature, and music, a philosophical, literary, artistic, and cultural era. In this period, we have witnessed industrial revolution, and concepts like nature, love, moral issues flourished. So we can divide the timeline of romanticism like inspiration, imagination, intuition, individuality, idealism. The poem and the romanticism. So, as we have seen, the life history of Lord Byron, the one of the most famous satirical poem we have discussed here is the Vision of Judgment, and his famous poem is Don Juan, and some other poem. But the prescribed one is She Walks in Beauty, right? So, how this poem is related and how we can connect this poem with romantic literature, we can see here. We can say that She Walks in Beauty is a romantic poem that has a lot of characteristic of the moment, such as medieval features, strong emotion as a source of aesthetic experience, inclination to talk about nature and love, nature which heaven to gaudy day denies, love, a heart whose love is innocent. We can say that no, from this line we come to know heaven never deny nature, a heart whose love is innocent. So we can see here nature, love, the themes which are prevalent in romanticism. So we can see in general the character analysis, an unnamed woman, maybe a cousin of the poet, never speaks for herself, beautiful and innocent and pure. So we can see here the description or the features of this young lady. Let's read the poem. She walks in beauty like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies, and all that's best of dark and bright meet in her aspect and her eyes, thus mellow to that tender light which heaven to gaudy day denies. One shade the more, one ray the less, had half impaired the nameless grace, which waves in every raven tress, or softly lightens over her face, where thoughts serenely sweet express how pure, how dear their dwelling place. And on that cheek and over that brow, so soft, so calm, yet eloquent, the smiles that win, the tints that glow, but tell of days in goodness spent, a mind at peace with all below, a heart whose love is innocent. By Lord Byron. So let's see here, line by line explanation. She walks in beauty like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies. And all that's best of dark and bright meet in her aspect and her eyes. There's mellowed to that tender light which heaven to gaudy day denies. So the speaker once, the speaker once said She walks in beauty like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies. So when he opens the poem with perhaps the two most famous lines that Byron has ever written, she walks in beauty like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies. And all that's best of dark and bright meet in her aspect and her eyes. So right from the start, Byron sets the tone of the poem with a comparison that seems almost divine. Beauty like the vast, starry night. Her beauty does not seem purely physical either. Instead, it is almost an aura, a shield of beauty, unaware and almost innocent in its unawareness. So it is interesting to note that the poet compares his beloved's beauty to night rather than daylight. In fact, the day is considered gaudy on behalf of the poet because the tradition for romantic poetry was to compare one to nature, but to bright nature. The darkness of the romantic poetry, the darkness of the word night seems to be a reference to the Greek ideal, the beauty that is so strong that it could be almost catastrophic. Helen of Troy was one such beauty. This woman seems to be another, a divine being whose sole purpose in the poem is a shift of chiaroscuro balance. Right? So from this, we come to know that now on all that's the best of dark and bright meet in her aspect and her eyes. So contrast between dark and light, day and night, right? So the light is more intense during the day. The light is gaudy in a day, according to Lord Byron. One shade the more, one ray the less, had half impaired the nameless grace, which waves in every raven tress or softly lightens over her face. A perfect balance between shade and light. So she has a very dark hair, the black hair, which is compared here like a raven, right? Her nameless beauty lightens her face. Where thoughts serently sweet express how pure, how dear their dwelling place. Peaceful thoughts, exterior and interior thoughts, pure, valuable, and innocent mind. So the face is the index of the mind, as we say always, right? So whatever she has in her inner self, that reflects on her face. That's why her face is, such a beautiful one to admire, right? That's why he says that it's very pure because of the innocence. So one shade the more, one ray the less, had half impaired the nameless grace, which waves in every raven tress, her softly lightens over her face, where thoughts errantly sweet express how pure, how dear their dwelling place. So the poet goes on in the second stanza to compare and contrast different aspects of beauty, her dark hair and her white face, which the light hits seem to recall images of the Virgin Mary. It is easier to make associations with the divine and the religious due to the poem structure that are hymnal. There is also an emphasis which would further strengthen the images of religion on innocence. The lady's beauty is largely innocent, almost virginal. And the poet cannot find a word that fully encompasses her beauty. So he used that way. She reconciles dark and light together, appearing both glowing and also shrouded in darkness. One could make the association that the darkness that surrounds her, given that Byron met Mrs. Wilmot at a funeral, could be spiritual darkness and that her radiance was further set off by the dim spirits at the funeral. However, one could also take it as the expression of the ultimate peaceful beauty. And that on the cheek and over that brow, so soft, so calm, yet eloquent, that smiles that win that things that glow. But tell of days in goodness spent, a mind of peace with all below, a heart whose love is innocent. So, unlike the day, the night is devoid of people, devoid of clouds and quiet. It is when things rest. She is not what by her own beauty, and she exists in a world that is to Byron. Peaceful. Her heart is innocent, her mind clear. Given his own nature for troubled thoughts, it is interesting to see what Byron emphasizes as beautiful, though not at all surprising given the rumors that followed him throughout his life. There is not much happening in the poem. It describes a few snatched moments of peace and quiet and wonder. The woman is left unaware of the impression she has made on the poet and continues not knowing that she has become a symbol of beauty to someone witnessing her presence. So, beauty, themes which are very prevalently seen in this poem is beauty, a long description of an unnamed woman's beauty, physical beauty and spiritual beauty. Now, let's see the historical background and context. As we have seen that Lord Byron's biography, people also believe that he might have been born in London, right? As a leading figure of the Romantic movement, an attempt by writers and artists to dispel the scientific rational movement's effects and bring back magic and wonder to a humanistic world. That is what Byron has done here. So the main idea is that perfect beauty and kindness can exist in one woman. Byron uses the poem to celebrate that beauty and how he interpreted it in Anne Wilmot. Right? That is what he has mentioned here. So that is the background of this. And then he can say the innocent love, the another theme. He tells how gorgeous she is. Her love is innocent, like her personality. Because of that innocence, she looks more beautiful. A heart whose love is innocent. And we can see the symbols. Dark reflects night and bright reflects day. So different from conventional English literature, right? Instead of summer days, her beauty is compared to dark night, the harmony of two opposites. She's got the best of both dark and bright. Dark represents her dark hair and white represents her white face. So, and we can see the another one is a raven tress. In conventional literature, beauties are generally pale and blonde. Here it is different. And smiles and blushes. Not only her pretty face, but also her inner beauty. Her inner beauty is mirrored by her outer beauty. Reflections of her thoughts and feelings we could see from her face. That's why she looks very pretty. So, what are the personification we can see here? Which heaven to Gaudi they denies. Can heaven really deny something? Of course not. And such a beautiful girl like this? Of course not. The smiles that win, the tints that glow, but tell of days in goodness spent. You can see here, tell of the time. Where thoughts serenely sweet expressing thoughts in her face. And on the cheek and over that brow, so soft, so calm, yet eloquent, the smiles that win, the tints that glow. Women's smiles, tints, blushes in her cheeks speak as if they were human. And we can see dwelling place. Here he says, woman's mind. Raven, Actually, he talks Raven for her dark hair. So when you see the language used, the 3 stanzas, 18-line poem of 3 6-line stanzas, rhyme is represented below like this: A B A B A B. She walks in beauty like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies, and all this batch of dark and bright meet in her aspect and her eyes, thus mellowed to that tender light which heaven to gaudy they denies. Night bright, night bright light, skies eyes denies. One shade the more, one ray the less, had half impaired the nameless grace, which waves in every raven tress, or softly lightens over her face, where thoughts suddenly sweet express how pure, how dear their dwelling place. And on that cheek and over that brow, so soft, so calm, yet eloquent, the smiles that win, the tints that glow, but tell of days in goodness spent, a mind at peace with all below, a heart whose love is innocent. You can see here less stress express and grace stress, grace phase and plays. Here you can see brow, glow, below, eloquent, spent, innocent. So beauty and innocence has always had its place in art. Many artists, poets, and authors mentioned about the beauty and innocence one way or another. So we have seen here Lord Byron's poem, She Walks in Beauty, and how beautifully he expressed the beauty of the lady. Beauty is not in the face, beauty is a light in the heart. Khalil Gibran. Beauty, when you look into a woman's eyes and see what's in her art, what's in her heart. Nate Dirks. Innocence is like a polished armor, it adorns and defends. Bishop Robert South. Whoever blushes is already guilty. True innocence is ashamed of nothing. Jean Jacques Rousseau. With that, conclude this lecture and thank you.